I asked ASAP Rocky why Rihanna never ages. And I wish I never heard his answer. What started as a simple question quickly turned into something far darker than I ever imagined. The truth behind Rihanna's agelessness is a secret that's more terrifying than you could ever guess. And what I'm about to tell you, it's something that'll haunt me forever. Let me show you why you should never ask questions you're not ready to hear the answer to. It was a typical night, just hanging out with ASAP, Rocky, and Rihanna. We were talking about everything, from the highs of fame to the struggles they faced. You know, the usual celebrity talk. But then, there was Rihanna, sitting there, glowing as always. She looked exactly the same as she did when I first saw her years ago. I mean, how does she do it? She doesn't age, not even a wrinkle. It's like time itself has no hold on her. And that's when I asked. It wasn't a big deal. Just something that popped into my head, you know? How do you do it? I asked, laughing. How do you stay so young? It was meant to be a joke, a throwaway comment, just a lighthearted question. But the moment the words left my mouth, something changed. The room felt different, like a sudden shift in the air. The light, the energy, it all shifted, and I could feel it. Rihanna smiled, but there was something in her eyes. Something that said she knew exactly what I was asking, and that maybe I wasn't supposed to know. She didn't answer, not right away. ASAP Rocky, who had been laughing along with me just seconds earlier, suddenly stopped. His face went stone cold. He stared at me, his eyes narrowing, like I had just said something that struck too close to home. The silence that followed was thick, heavy, like a pressure building in the room, one that I couldn't quite explain. I could feel my heart race, my breath getting shallow. Why did this feel so wrong? I thought about backing off, making another joke, trying to cover it up. But something in Rocky's gaze stopped me. He leaned forward slightly. His voice was low, almost too quiet to hear. You really want to know? He asked. It wasn't a question anymore. It was a warning, and I could tell that I had just crossed the line. I looked at Rihanna, and she was staring at me now. Not with the playful look I was used to, but something else. Something darker. I didn't know what it was, but I was starting to feel like I had stumbled into something much bigger than just an innocent question. I felt a chill run down my spine. My mind was racing. Was he just messing with me? Or was there something more to this? Was it really that serious? Rocky's eyes didn't leave mine. There was a certain tension in the way he looked at me, like he was deciding whether or not to say more. And then, just when I thought he might laugh it off, he dropped the bomb. In a voice so soft I could barely hear him, he whispered, "You don't know what you're asking. You don't know the cost of eternal youth." I froze. The words hung in the air, and I swear I could feel the weight of them pressing down on me. The entire room felt like it had just shifted, and for the first time, I realized this wasn't some harmless question anymore. This was something I wasn't meant to know. I couldn't shake what Rocky had said. The cost of eternal youth. It kept replaying in my head like a broken record. What the hell did that mean? Was he just messing with me? Or was there something more to it? I wanted to laugh it off, to tell myself it was just some random comment. But something about the way he said it, The way the room felt when the words left his mouth told me it wasn't just a joke. I glanced at Rihanna. She was sitting there, calm as ever, her eyes fixed on the floor. But I could feel her awareness in the air, as if she were listening to every word, every shift in the atmosphere. That same unsettling feeling crawled up my spine again. It was like we were all caught in some unspoken web, and I had just stepped into the center of it. The silence in the room stretched on for what felt like an eternity. I thought Rocky was going to speak again, but he didn't. He just stared at me, hard, almost daring me to ask more, to press for answers. But I didn't. I couldn't. The weight of his words was heavy, and for the first time, I realized that maybe, just maybe, I didn't want to know the truth. But of course, curiosity is a powerful thing. It gets under your skin, digs into your mind, and won't let go. And the more I thought about it, the more I had to know. What was the cost of being ageless? What had Rihanna done to stay young? And why was Rocky so afraid to talk about it? Finally, I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to ask. I needed answers. So I took a breath, trying to steady my nerves, and said, "Rocky, what do you mean by that? What's the cost?" His eyes flickered for a moment, like he was deciding whether to tell me or not. Then he leaned back, exhaling slowly, almost like he was preparing himself for something he didn't want to face. He didn't look at Rihanna, didn't look at me. He just stared at the wall for a moment, like the answer was something he had buried deep down, something he didn't want to unearth. I could see his muscles tense. The tension in the air grew thicker, like the room itself was holding its breath. "It's not what you think, man," Rocky finally said, his voice low, careful. "It's not just about skincare routines or jeans. It's about power. Power that comes at a price." I leaned in, every muscle in my body on edge, trying to catch every word he said. Power? What kind of power? Rocky's gaze snapped to mine. For the first time, I saw something in his eyes that made my stomach drop, a kind of terror that was impossible to fake. "It's a deal, man," he said. "A deal she made a long time ago. And trust me, it's not something you can just walk away from." I could feel my heart rate quicken, the weight of his words pressing on my chest. A deal? A deal? This wasn't some casual conversation anymore. My mind raced with a million questions, but I couldn't get the words out fast enough. I opened my mouth to ask more, but Rocky stopped me with a single look. He shook his head slowly, as if he were warning me to stay quiet, to not dig any deeper. But I had to know. "What kind of deal?" I asked, barely able to keep my voice steady. Who did she make the deal with? And what did she have to give up for it? Rocky looked at me, his face pale, his lips parted like he was about to speak, but nothing came out. For a moment, he just stared at me, almost like he was seeing me for the first time. He took another deep breath and closed his eyes, as if trying to summon the courage to say the things he'd been holding back for so long. "She gave up something more valuable than her time," he finally muttered. "Her soul, her humanity." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "Her soul?" I repeated, my voice shaking. "What are you talking about? Are you saying she sold her soul?" Rocky's gaze hardened. "No, not sold. But it's like a contract, a pact. She made a choice, and now she's bound to it. Every year she stays young, she has to feed it. She has to feed the curse. And the more she feeds it, the more she loses herself. I couldn't breathe. My mind couldn't wrap itself around the idea. This was insane. There was no way any of this could be real. But the way Rocky said it, the way his hands shook as he spoke, the fear in his eyes, it made me start to believe that there was something truly terrifying behind Rihanna's agelessness. Something far darker than I ever could have imagined. You're telling me she has to feed it? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Feed the curse? What does that even mean? Rocky's jaw tightened. You don't want to know. Trust me, it's not something you can unlearn once you hear it. But I didn't back down. What is it, Rocky? What does she do? He looked at me, his eyes haunted. She takes from others, from people, from everything around her. Every time she does, she gets a little younger, a little more perfect, but she's losing herself piece by piece, and I couldn't comprehend it. The idea that Rihanna, someone I'd known for years, someone I thought I understood, was feeding off something dark, something that took pieces of her soul with every passing day. It was too much to take in. I felt a sickening knot form in my stomach. The truth was unraveling in front of me, and it was more horrifying than I ever could have imagined. And just like that, I realized that I was already too far gone. I had asked a question, and now I was entangled in a story that I couldn't escape. A story that was only getting darker by the second. But this was just the beginning. The truth behind Rihanna's curse was far more dangerous than anything I could have imagined. And I was about to learn just how deep this darkness went. I couldn't stop thinking about what Rocky had said. The idea that Rihanna's agelessness came with a cost. That she was feeding a curse with something far darker than I could have imagined, kept spinning in my mind like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. But the more I thought about it, the more questions piled up. What exactly did she take from people? How did this curse work? And, most terrifying of all, what happened to her once she'd given everything she had to feed it? I tried to shake it off. I tried to convince myself it was all just some twisted story Rocky had cooked up, maybe out of guilt or fear. But the fear in his eyes, the weight in his voice, none of it seemed like a joke. And what was worse, I knew it wasn't just Rocky who had seen this darkness. Rihanna herself was right there, in the room, living this nightmare every single day. As the days passed, I kept replaying that conversation over and over in my head. Every time I saw Rihanna, it was like I was looking at a different person. The flawless skin, the ageless beauty. It seemed even more unnatural now. She wasn't just perfect. She was too perfect. There was a coldness to her I hadn't noticed before. It was subtle, like a shadow flickering in her eyes, but it was there. And then I started noticing the cracks. The small things. The way she would flinch when someone touched her too closely, like their touch might burn her. How she always seemed to avoid certain places, certain people, and the most unsettling part, how she never seemed to sleep, not really. There were times when I'd see her sitting alone in a dark room, staring into space for hours, her expression distant, lost. It was as if the weight of the curse was finally starting to sink in. One night, after everyone else had gone to bed, I found myself alone in the kitchen with Rihanna. She was sitting at the table, a glass of wine in front of her, but she wasn't drinking. She was just staring at it, her fingers lightly tracing the edge of the glass. For a moment, I just watched her, unsure of what to say, unsure if I even wanted to know more. But then, out of nowhere, she spoke. "Rocky's told you, hasn't he?" she asked, her voice quiet but steady. I froze. I hadn't expected her to acknowledge it, let alone bring it up herself. My heart began to race. Was she going to deny it? Was she going to play it off like it was all some kind of mistake? I didn't answer her right away. I wasn't sure what to say, but she didn't wait for me to speak. "You're scared of me, aren't you?" she said, a sad smile tugging at her lips. I felt my throat tighten. I wanted to say no, to reassure her that I wasn't scared. But the truth was, I was terrified. I had no idea what I was dealing with anymore. What had once seemed like a celebrity mystery, a harmless curiosity, was now a suffocating horror that was closing in around me. I couldn't escape it. "Rihanna," I whispered, unsure how to phrase the question that was eating me alive. "What's happening to you? What's really going on?" She didn't look at me. She kept her eyes trained on the glass in front of her, her fingers still tracing the rim. For a moment, I thought she wouldn't answer. I thought she might just shut down, like she had before. But then her voice came low and almost broken. "I made a choice," she said, "a long time ago. I was young, and I wanted everything: fame, beauty, power. I wanted to be everything, to have everything. And so I made a deal with something that wasn't human, something dark." She stopped, her fingers stopping their motion on the glass. And for the first time, she looked at me, really looked at me. But it's not what I thought it would be. I swallowed hard. My breath caught in my throat. "What do you mean?" Her eyes seemed to darken as she spoke. "It's not just about staying young. It's about everything. My soul, my humanity. The more I take, the more I lose of myself. I thought it was worth it. I thought the fame, the beauty, the power, they were worth it. But now, I don't know if I can stop. I don't know how to." I felt sick. Her words were like ice running through my veins. I could see the weight of it all in her eyes. The regret, the exhaustion, the loneliness. Rihanna was trapped in something that was slowly devouring her from the inside, and I had no idea how to help her. "I can't escape it," she said, her voice trembling for the first time. "I can't ever escape it. The more I try, the more I lose of myself. I thought I could control it, but it controls me now." Her voice cracked, and for the first time, I saw the real Rihanna. The one who wasn't perfect. The one who was broken. I didn't know what to say. How could I? What could I say to someone who had sold their soul for something so fleeting? For beauty? For fame? For youth? Was it worth it? Did she still think it was worth it? Before I could say anything, she stood up almost too quickly and turned away. "You don't want to know more," she said softly, her voice distant. "Trust me, you don't." And just like that, she was gone, leaving me alone in the kitchen, my mind reeling from the truth she just revealed. The cost of eternal youth wasn't just time, it was everything. Everything she had ever been, everything she would ever be. And the more I learned, the more I realized there was no going back. But I had already learned too much. And the darkness, It wasn't done with me yet. I couldn't stop thinking about what Rihanna had said to me that night. Her confession about the curse she was trapped in. It kept replaying in my head over and over again. She had made a choice that had given her everything she wanted: beauty, fame, youth, but at a price that was slowly consuming her soul. And the worst part? She couldn't escape it. I kept asking myself, what kind of deal could do something like that? What kind of power could take someone's soul in exchange for eternal youth? And how had Rihanna gotten caught in this nightmare in the first place? The more I thought about it, the more questions I had. I had to know more, but I didn't know where to turn. I didn't even know if I wanted to know more, but the truth was, I was already too deep in. I had seen the cracks in Rihanna's perfect facade, the way she looked at me with those haunted eyes. I couldn't pretend like everything was okay anymore. So I went to the one person who might know more, Rocky. He had been the one to warn me, the one who had started this whole spiral into the darkness. And now I needed him to finish it. I needed him to tell me everything. I found him sitting in the living room one evening, staring out the window. He didn't notice me at first, so I took a seat across from him and just waited. For a long time, there was no sound except the soft hum of the night air outside. The tension between us was palpable, thick with the weight of the truth that hung over both of us. Finally, Rocky turned to look at me. His eyes were tired, but there was something else there, something darker. It was like he had already seen too much, been through too much, and now he was just waiting for the inevitable. "You want to know what she really gave up?" he asked, his voice low, almost resigned. I nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, I need to know." He sat back, staring at the ceiling for a moment, lost in thought. She didn't just make a deal for her looks, for her youth. She made a deal with something old, something ancient. The words hit me like a punch to the gut. Something ancient? What could that mean? I had to know more. Ancient? What do you mean by that? I asked, my voice trembling slightly. Who did she make the deal with? Rocky's eyes shifted away from me, and for a moment, I thought he wouldn't answer. But then he spoke again, his words coming out slower this time, weighed down by something I couldn't quite place. "I don't know exactly," he said, "but I know it's not human. And I know it's not something you want to mess with. The deal she made, it's not just about staying young. It's about power, and that power comes with a cost. A cost that's higher than anything we could ever understand." I was barely able to process what he was saying. So she made a deal with... what? A demon? A god? Rocky's eyes darkened, and he shook his head. "I don't know. I don't even want to think about it, but it's real, man. Whatever it is, it's real. And it controls her now. It controls everything she does." The air in the room seemed to grow heavier as Rocky spoke. It was like his words were suffocating me, pulling me deeper into the abyss of this mystery I hadn't even asked to be part of. But I couldn't stop now. I needed to understand. I needed to know how deep this went, how far Rihanna had gone to keep her youth, and what it was doing to her. "Does she know what she's doing?" I asked, barely above a whisper. "Does she know what it's doing to her?" Rocky's gaze softened for a moment, but then it hardened again, like he was shutting something out. She knows, but she can't stop. She's trapped, man. The more she tries to fight it, the worse it gets. It's like a chain around her neck. And every time she pulls away, it pulls harder. I felt a sickening twist in my stomach. The idea that Rihanna was stuck in this cycle, this horrific, never-ending cycle of feeding the curse, was almost too much to bear. She was losing herself piece by piece, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. But why? Why did she make the deal in the first place? I asked, desperate for answers. What made her do it? Rocky's face darkened again, and he leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. She wanted everything, man. She wanted power. She wanted immortality. She wanted to be perfect, and she was willing to give up anything to get it. But the thing is, once you make that kind of deal, there's no turning back. You can't undo it. You can't fix it. All you can do is keep feeding the curse until there's nothing left of you. I felt like the floor was falling out from under me. I had always known that fame came with a price, but this was beyond anything I could have ever imagined. Rihanna hadn't just made a choice. She had sold her soul. And now, she was paying the price. But why doesn't she just walk away? I asked, my voice cracking. Why doesn't she just stop? Surely there's a way out. Rocky looked at me, his eyes filled with sorrow. It's not that simple. The deal doesn't let you walk away. The more you try, the harder it pulls you back, and the worse it gets every time. The silence in the room was suffocating. I felt like I was drowning in the truth, and there was no way to come up for air. Rihanna was trapped in a cycle she could never escape, and I was stuck right in the middle of it. The darkness wasn't just consuming Rihanna. It was consuming me, too. But what I didn't know then was that the worst was still to come. The curse wasn't finished with her, and it wasn't finished with me either. I had no idea what I was getting into when I asked that one simple question. Why doesn't Rihanna ever age? That innocent curiosity had cracked open a door I could never close. Each time I learned more, the weight of it crushed me. The truth was darker than I could have ever imagined, and now I was trapped in it too. After speaking with Rocky, I couldn't stop thinking about the curse, the power that had taken hold of Rihanna, the deal she'd made, and the price she paid to stay young. It was all consuming, a web of darkness that had spun out of control. But I couldn't shake one question. Why was it still going on? Why hadn't she just let it all go? The truth I had yet to uncover was that Rihanna wasn't just a victim of the curse. She was feeding it, and it was feeding off her. It wasn't just about staying young. It was about taking from others, taking until there was nothing left of her. It was a slow, agonizing process, and it was happening every single day. I started seeing the cracks more clearly, the small signs that showed how much the curse had eroded Rihanna's humanity. It wasn't just physical anymore. It was spiritual. It wasn't just her beauty that was eternal. It was her emptiness. And that emptiness, it was starting to show. I'd noticed that when we were all together, there was a distance in Rihanna's eyes, like she was there, but not really. The laughter she used to share with the group felt forced. The spark that had once been there, the one that had made her who she was flickering. It was like the real Rihanna was fading, and in her place, this hollow version of herself was taking over. I was afraid to confront her again, and I wasn't sure I could handle the truth of what I might see in her eyes. But one night, as we were hanging out after dinner, something changed. Something clicked inside me. I could feel the weight of the darkness that had been closing in on her. She was losing herself, and the people around her, people like Rocky, were already too far gone to save her. So, I did it. And I asked her again. "Rihanna," I said, my voice trembling slightly, "what's really happening to you? I need to know." She didn't answer right away. She looked at me for a long time, her gaze unreadable, and I thought for a second she wasn't going to speak at all. I saw the tiredness in her eyes, the fear. The same fear I had seen in Rocky's eyes when he told me about the curse. She was trapped, just like he said. And then she spoke. "It's not just about being perfect anymore," she said, her voice flat, almost emotionless. "It's about what it takes to stay perfect, what it takes to feed it. Every time I think I'm done, every time I think I can walk away, it pulls me back. And the more I try to fight it, the worse it gets." I swallowed hard, feeling my heart race. "What do you mean? How does it feed you?" Her lips curled into a bitter smile. "You're not gonna like the answer, but you deserve to know." She paused, and for a moment, it felt like time stopped. There was a heaviness in the air, as though the walls of the room were closing in on us, suffocating us with the weight of her words. "The curse," Rihanna continued, "feeds off people. It feeds off their energy, their essence. Every time I take from someone, I get a little younger, a little more perfect, a little more powerful. But every time I take, I lose a part of myself, a piece of my soul. And soon, there won't be anything left." I felt sick. The idea that Rihanna, someone I had admired, someone I thought was untouchable, was feeding on others to maintain her beauty and power. It made my stomach turn. "How long can you keep doing this?" I asked, barely able to find my voice. "How much of yourself do you have left?" Rihanna's expression faltered, and for a moment, I saw the raw, broken woman beneath the perfect exterior. The one who was terrified of what she had become. "I don't know," she whispered. "I don't know how much longer I can keep it up." She turned away from me, her voice becoming more distant as she spoke. "I can feel it. The more I take, the more I lose. The emptiness is growing inside me. I feel hollow. It's like I'm becoming a shell of who I used to be. The worst part is, I can't stop." I didn't know what to say. What could I say? She was telling me that she was dying slowly, piece by piece, and there was no way out. She was caught in a cycle that was consuming her, and it was consuming everyone around her too. I thought about Rocky, how he looked at me with that haunted expression, like he had already lost her, like he knew there was no way to save her. He had been living with this for years, watching her fade away, unable to do anything, and I was right there with him. I had heard the truth, and now I was part of it. I wanted to help. I wanted to make things better. But the more I listened, the more I realized that there was nothing anyone could do. Rihanna had made her choice long ago, and now she was paying the price. She turned back to me, her face hardening once more. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I didn't want you to get involved in this, but now you know, and there's no going back. I just don't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to respond." There were no words that could fix this. There was no solution, no way to undo what had been done. Rihanna was trapped, and so was I. But little did I know, this curse wasn't just taking from Rihanna. It was about to take from me too. I wasn't prepared for what came next. It was one thing to hear Rihanna confess about the curse, about the things she had done to keep herself young. But it was another thing entirely to feel the weight of it pressing down on me. I was already caught up in this nightmare, whether I wanted to be or not. I had asked that damn question, and now I couldn't escape the truth. There was no unknowing what I had learned. But the worst part? It wasn't just Rihanna who was suffering. I was too. I was becoming just as much a part of this curse as she was. The more I heard, the deeper I was pulled into the web of lies, deceit, and darkness that surrounded her. And Rocky too. It wasn't just their secret anymore. It was mine. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. Everywhere I looked, there were reminders of what was happening to Rihanna. And I was watching it happen to myself too. Every time I looked at her, every time I saw the emptiness in her eyes, I felt a pit in my stomach grow deeper. I had seen the cracks in her soul, the loss of herself that was happening right before my eyes. But now, I was starting to see the same thing in myself. I wasn't just witnessing the curse, I was feeling it. It was like a cold hand was wrapped around my heart, slowly squeezing the life out of me. The more I stayed close to Rihanna, the more I could sense the darkness bleeding into me. I couldn't escape it. I couldn't walk away. It was like I was tethered to her, connected by some invisible thread that was pulling me deeper into this hell. It wasn't just the way she looked at me. It was everything around us. The people she surrounded herself with. They were all starting to change. Her team, her friends, everyone who got too close. It was like the curse was infecting them too. Slowly, quietly, but with deadly precision. I was standing outside one evening, trying to clear my head, when I saw Rocky approaching. His eyes were bloodshot, and his face was drawn, like he hadn't slept in days. He didn't look like the man I had once known. He looked broken, hollow, just like Rihanna. Like the curse had drained every ounce of life out of him too. He stopped when he saw me, his eyes locking onto mine. For a moment, we just stared at each other. The weight of everything unsaid hung between us like a thick fog. We both knew the truth. We both knew what was happening. But neither of us could stop it. Finally, he spoke. His voice was low and tired, as if the words were a burden he could barely carry. "You can't keep doing this," he said. "You can't keep getting closer to her. It's pulling you in, man. The curse, it's not just her anymore. It's all of us." I shook my head, not fully understanding what he meant. "What do you mean?" "The more you stay close to her," Rocky continued, "the more it takes from you. It feeds on your energy, your life. It's not just her that's being consumed. It's everyone who gets caught up in it. And it's not just physical. It gets inside your head, inside your soul." I felt a cold chill run down my spine. "So what? You think I'm going to end up like you two? Like her?" Rocky didn't answer right away. He just looked at me, and in his eyes, I saw a reflection of everything I feared. The same emptiness, the same hollow despair. "You already are," he said softly. The words hit me like a slap in the face. I felt dizzy. like the world was spinning around me. What the hell are you talking about? I'm not like her. I haven't. You don't have to do anything, Rocky interrupted. Just being around her, being in her orbit, changes you. It infects you. It gets inside you. And soon, you won't even recognize yourself. I felt like the ground was giving way beneath me. I could feel it. The same coldness that had taken hold of Rihanna. The emptiness that had slowly been consuming her. It was creeping into me, too. And I had no idea how to stop it. You've seen it in her, Rocky continued. That look in her eyes. That's the curse. It's hollowing her out from the inside. And it's doing the same to you, to everyone around her. I wanted to scream. I wanted to deny it, but I couldn't. The truth was too heavy, too suffocating. It was real. It was happening to me. And the worst part, I couldn't stop it. I started, but the words caught in my throat. You can't escape it, Rocky said, his voice tinged with regret. None of us can. We stood there in silence, both of us realizing the same thing. We were trapped. All of us. Trapped in this dark, endless cycle, and there was no way out. Not for Rihanna, not for Rocky, and not for me. The curse was consuming us all, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. I didn't know how much time passed before I spoke again, but when I did, it was almost a whisper. What happens when it's done? When there's nothing left of her? Rocky's face hardened, and he turned away, unable to meet my gaze. It's already started, he muttered. Once it's finished with her, it'll move on to someone else. The terror in his voice made my blood run cold, because I knew exactly what he meant. The curse didn't stop. It didn't end with one victim. It kept feeding, kept taking, until there was nothing left to consume. And now, I knew. It was my turn next. The weight of everything that had happened, everything I'd learned, was suffocating. I couldn't breathe without feeling the curse tightening around me. Rihanna, Rocky, the people around us, they were all part of this nightmarish web. And now, I was caught in it too. I had asked the question. I had sought the truth. And now, I was paying the price. The curse wasn't something you could escape once it took hold. It wasn't just a part of Rihanna's life. It was inside me now, wrapping its cold fingers around my heart, squeezing tighter every day. I had tried to ignore it. I had tried to push it away, to pretend it was just a bad dream. But it wasn't. Every time I looked at Rihanna, I saw it. The hollow eyes, the forced smiles, the cracks in her perfect facade. And with every passing day, it was like the curse was creeping closer, taking more of her, taking more of me. I was becoming part of her world, a world where there was no escape. And the worst part, I couldn't stop it. It wasn't just the way she looked anymore. It was the way she felt. The air around her was different, colder, like something darker was closing in. She was fading right before my eyes, losing herself more and more. It was like the real Rihanna was slipping through my fingers, leaving behind a shell that had nothing left but the desire to stay perfect, to stay young, to feed the curse. One night, I found myself alone with her again, sitting in the same place where we'd first talked about the curse. The silence between us was thick, suffocating, as if the room itself was holding its breath. She didn't look at me at first. She didn't need to. I could feel it, the emptiness in her eyes. I knew she was slipping away, and I knew I was powerless to stop it. "Rihanna," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Is there any way out? Is there any way to stop this? She didn't respond at first. Her hands were trembling slightly, her eyes vacant as she stared off into the distance. It was like she wasn't even there anymore. Just a hollow version of herself, lost in the curse. And then, finally, she turned to me, her expression unreadable. "There is no way out," she said quietly, almost as if she were talking to herself more than to me. "Once you make the deal, there's no going back. You can't undo it. You can't fix it. All you can do is feed it. Keep feeding it until there's nothing left." I felt my heart stop. This was it. This was the moment where I realized just how deep I was in. There was no escape for her. No escape for me. The curse was relentless, all-consuming. It didn't stop, didn't give up. It just kept taking, kept feeding until there was nothing left but the hollow shell of who you once were. "But why?" I asked, desperate for something, anything that could make sense of this nightmare. "Why did you make that deal? Why didn't you just let go?" Rihanna's eyes flickered with something like regret, but it quickly disappeared, replaced by that cold emptiness. She sighed deeply, as if the weight of it all was too much to bear. Because I wanted everything. I wanted to be perfect. I wanted to be more than just another person. I wanted immortality, the kind that no one could take away from me. But now, I don't even know who I am anymore. I felt a chill run down my spine. And what happens when you're done? When there's nothing left to give? She didn't look at me. She couldn't. She just stared at her hands, trembling slightly as the truth hit her. When it's finished with me, it moves on. It moves on to the next person, and then the next. It doesn't stop. It never stops. I didn't know what to say. How could I? The curse was already taking over, and there was no way to stop it. Rihanna had been consumed by it, and now it was slowly consuming me too. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I never meant for you to get caught in this. But now, you can't escape. None of us can." I stood there, the weight of her words crashing down on me. She was right. There was no escape. There never had been. The curse was too strong, too relentless. And now, I was just another victim. As I left her that night, the truth hit me harder than ever. I had asked a question, a simple question. And now, I was part of something I could never undo. The curse wasn't finished with Rihanna. It wasn't finished with me either. Final payoff. The truth is clear now. I asked ASAP Rocky why Rihanna never ages, and I wish I never heard his answer. The price of eternal youth isn't just time. It's everything you are, everything you'll ever be. Rihanna made a deal, and now she's paying the cost. But it's not just her. It's all of us. The curse doesn't stop with her. It spreads, it takes, and once it's inside you, there's no escaping it. I thought I could walk away, but now I know the truth. There's no turning back. I'm trapped. We're all trapped in this dark, endless cycle. And soon I'll be just like her. Empty, hollow, consumed by the very thing that once seemed like a gift. It's too late to escape now. I asked the question, and now I'm part of the nightmare. The curse isn't finished with me. It never will be.